The best way to prepare for your 2021 fantasy football season is to do a mock draft. We'll take you through 10 rounds of a half PPR, 10-team draft coming up next. Hello, everyone. I'm Barclay.
And I'm Michael Wiley, and we're the Fantasy Football Consultants. Eric, I'm excited for this season. I'm so ready for it to get going. It's time. September's around the corner. So guess what's coming? The draft, right?
Yeah, so we want to get you guys ready for your mock draft. But we're also, Michael, doing a bunch of other things in the preseason that we don't want you guys to miss.
Yeah, that's right. So we got right up here and in the links here. In the description, you see the links for our division shows where we break down each of the NFC and AFC divisions, talk about what we think is going to happen in terms of who's going to come out on top, make the playoffs, get those wild card spots, and touch on some of the fantasy implications in those divisions as well. Check it out.
Yeah, and you got to check it out before the season starts, because you enter in the comment section your order of finish and who your wild card teams, and you could win a chance to meet Michael and I and co-host the show with us. So don't miss that. Be sure to go to it before the season starts. Michael, I would want to make sure that everybody doesn't miss any of our content. Best way to do that and to help support the show is smash that red subscriber button followed by the bell icon. Without any further ado, let's go to the studio. All right, Michael, we're on the Fantasy Pros website. They do a really excellent mock draft, and we'll go through that. And we're setting it up as for the 2021 season, half PPR. It will be a snake draft. We're doing 10 teams. We selected to go in the 9th position. All right, let's see who we get, Michael. Oh, it's not Christian McCaffrey. There's a big surprise. So in the first round, gone is McCaffrey, then Cook, Henry, Alvin Kamara, Zeke Elliott. The first tight end is off the board at the 6th spot, Travis Kelce. His teammate at the 7th spot, Tyreek Hill, is gone. And Nick Chubb. Michael, if you were to look at those guys, is there any surprises there for you?
I'm a little surprised by Tyreek Hill going so early. Would have expected him maybe to be available for us here in the 9th spot. I think Davante Adams should go before him. Maybe that's a little preview of what I think should happen.
Yeah,
here.
If you want a wide receiver, I would think Davante Adams is the way to go. It's interesting, out of the first 8 picks, 6 running backs off the board, 1 tight end, and 1 wide receiver. It's kind of interesting that Saquon Barclay was not taken. So it's a 10-team league. We have the 9th pick. Then there'll be 2 picks by the same guy, and it'll come back to us. Since Travis Kelce is gone, we're not picking a tight end at this spot. Folks, this is a 1 QB league, so you're not picking a quarterback. So it's really between a running back or a wide receiver. What are your thoughts?
Well, I tell you, there's a pretty big drop off on running back here after these next few are gone. And so given that the guy behind us has 2 picks before we get to go again, I'm a little bit nervous that both those running backs may be taken. And so I think we got to be a little bit conservative, pick up a running back that we think is going to be a bell cow, and then turn around and pick up one of those 2 wide receivers that'll probably the one that's going to be left, which we probably know who it's going to be. So I would go, I think, with Barkley here.
Okay, we're gonna fight. Ready to fight? Because
all right, let's do it.
I loved your argument, but I feel like there's a pretty big drop between Adams and Diggs and anyone else that are on this list. Like I said, as you said, Adams I liked even more than Tyreek Hill. Those are the 2 guys I have on their own tier. Whereas, look, I would really be okay with any of these top 3 guys. The experts like Aaron Jones. He would be my 3rd favorite between Barkley, Taylor, and then Aaron Jones. So I'm going to argue for Davante Adams. Are you okay with that?
So I'm glad that you showed. I didn't actually pay close attention when you saw it when Jonathan Taylor was there. I agree. I think Jonathan Taylor is a better pick than Aaron Jones. So I'll go ahead and concede
Yeah, see, it sounds like you agree, but you're smart enough to say you're going to concede, because down the road, when we have our next argument, you're going to say, my turn to get my way. All right, so let's hope, we're going to all hope that Barclay, that he doesn't go both Barclay and Taylor. I think the chances of that are very low. So let's see let's go ahead and pick up Devontae Adams. You know what? I already know the name of our team, the Adams family. All right, gone off the board. He does go 2 running backs, but the 2 running backs he goes with is Aaron Jones and Saquon Barclay. Second half of the season, best running back last year for anyone not named Derrick Henry, as we found out on our quiz. So let's go with Taylor. So I love the fact, Michael, in this draft, we got a wide receiver and a running back. Yes, we want to pick the best player available, but this gives us lots of flexibility. If you go 2 running backs in a row, you're pretty much forced that you can't pick another running back. So, all right, we got a lot of guys off the board here. So in round 2, after we picked Jonathan Taylor, Eckler and Diggs went. Then Antonio Gibson. Then the rookie Najee Harris, 6th pick in the 2nd round. I think that's a little early. Speaking of being a little early, the first quarterback went off the board, 7th pick in the 2nd round. Michael, what do you think of that?
Yeah, I think that's a huge mistake, right? In a 1 quarterback league, there are several quarterbacks that are going to give you consistent results. Yeah, of course, we know Pat Mahomes should be the one to produce most consistently, but I think there's such a huge drop off from wide receiver and running backs that it doesn't make sense to go for one of those guys early.
Then a slew of wide receivers to end the 2nd round: Calvin Ridley, DK Metcalf, and DeAndre Hopkins. So in the 3rd round, so this is a long time before it gets to us. We're at the end of the 3rd round. We've got Allen Robinson, Joe Mixon, Justin Jefferson, AJ Brown. The next tight end, which is surprising, is George Kittle. It isn't your guy. Chris Carson, Keenan Allen, and right before us, sniped just right from our fingers, Michael, tight end Darren Waller.
Oof, so that's hard. Yeah, really bummed out that we didn't get Waller right there. I think that was the obvious pick to go with, but hey, that saves us from having to think about tight ends for a few rounds. I didn't hear you say, but I'm guessing you did. James Robinson was taken. Is that right?
Allen Robinson was taken. So
I think this draft is a little behind right now, and not updating the fact that ETN is out, which means you could see Robinson have a really good year. I know there's been a coaching change there, and obviously a quarterback change, so not 100% sure what we're going to get. So, maybe it feels a tiny bit early. Obviously, the draft's not even considering him because they think ETN's going to have an impact. Looks like he's the next guy on the list.
I agree absolutely, Michael. In fact, I will take the leap to say that if I went running back, I would like to go with James Robinson. Look, ETN is likely out for the year. So I know Carlos Hyde's there, but what that means is that, first of all, not only would James Robinson get the lion's share of the carries, Hyde will get some, but he's going to get involved in the passing game because Hyde is not. That's where ETN's role was going to be. So I love that. Love that, Michael.
But we can get him in a few rounds because of how this is all played out, right?
Yeah.
So I think we go wide receiver as a temptation to think about Allen right here, because we're going to be picking in 2 spots, but I don't even know if we get him there, right? I don't even know if we go after him right then. So I think for sure, let's go with a wide receiver here.
All right. So I will talk through these wide receivers. There is a lot of buzz going on with CeeDee Lamb, and I don't get it. I mean, I'd rather have both Mike Evans and Terry McLaurin, but do you know who I would like out of any of these guys? How about give me the guy who is the obvious number 1 wide receiver on an offense I think will be a lot better next year because they got a quarterback who is going to take chances down the field with Ryan Fitzpatrick. I'm talking about Terry McLaurin, who I think is a real talent. It's not even close for me. Of these wide receivers, I would go with McLaurin.
Yeah, I mean, I think CeeDee Lamb's getting a lot of buzz because Dak Prescott is back, but I don't think that we know what their chemistry will be, and he's not necessarily a clear number one, to your point. I think Robert Woods is also going to see a nice change for the same reason you just mentioned, with Stafford coming through, but he's not the clear number one. So I agree with you. I think McLaurin has shown that he is going to be a consistent fantasy capable, not just with the long ball, but also as a possession receiver. So I think he's the clear choice here.
So another reason, just guys, when you pick the 9th or the 2nd spot, you have an ability to spy. And we have to remember, in the first round, the guy who picked 10th, he went running back. So it is very unlikely that he's going to go with a 3rd running back in his first 4 picks. So I think for that purpose, I don't think we want to go running back. I'm guessing that all of these guys are going to be available. So let's go with Terry McLaurin. All right, let's see if I'm right. Where does he go? He goes wide receiver with CeeDee Lamb and quarterback. Yes, Josh Allen is gone. So I think that made our decision really easy, Michael. I'm not interested in any of these quarterbacks as of this time, but who I am interested in is the guy that you identified, James Robinson, with the fact that ETN is out. Shall we?
We should, even though we could cheat and wait a little bit longer because he still would probably be available based on the draft simulator here, but let's go with him anyways. He's the guy to make sure we don't miss, because we do have another 18 or whatever so on draft choices to wait.
Yeah, if this is a real draft, we want to let our folks know we like Robinson better than any of these running backs. So there we go. All right, so we're gonna grab James Robinson. All right, it's gonna take a while to go through here. I will try to go through this super quick, and then we'll analyze where we stand. Mike Evans, Clyde Edwards-Helaire, Chris Godwin, a quarterback off the board with Kyler Murray, DK Robbins and Montgomery, then 2 wide receivers, Robert Woods and Amari Cooper. On to the 5th round. DeAndre Swift is the first pick in the 5th round. My Tyler Lockett from the Seahawks leads 5 wide receivers in a row. Deontay Johnson, Cooper Kupp, Julio Jones, DJ Moore, a pause for running back in Josh Jacobs, and the last pick right before us is Adam Thielen.
Just real quick to comment there, I'm surprised that the draft is having some of those guys you just mentioned at the end there go at the end of the 5th round. I mean, that surprises me. I think that Thielen and Josh Jacobs are very fine picks for late in the 5th round.
I think you're just bitter your Raiders keep going right before you.
Yeah, and I think that, we saw Jacobs still have a pretty decent year this last year. Yeah, they picked up Drake. That could have an impact. So to me, those are the surprises for how late that those went, but I wouldn't have picked them at the beginning of the 4th round.
All right, so let's take a look at our roster to remind ourselves. We've got 2 running backs and 2 wide receivers. So I think for the first time, I think we can legitimately start thinking either in this pick or in a little bit, a quarterback or a wide receiver or tight end. But to remind ourselves at tight end, now this is interesting. So we got our 2nd tier of tight ends here between Hawkinson and Pitts. So I see that as a possibility. Would you agree with me? Although I kind of like the upside of Kyle Pitts over Hawkinson.
Yeah, I think Pitts is going to be more like a wide receiver, but he is a rookie, so we don't know for sure what's going to come of that. We do know that Atlanta likes to throw to their tight ends. Mark Andrews had a little bit of a down year this last year, but I think he's unless he's injured, and I don't know about it, I think he's up there with him as well. Yeah. And then on the quarterback side, like you say, we can spy, and we know that they're not going to take a quarterback, so there's no reason to take one right this moment. Nothing's really jumping out at me too much at the wide receiver spot. Yeah, Galladay, had a great season last year, but he's moved teams. And I think there's, some of these guys actually may survive, maybe not the top 5 here, but I think we got to go with the running back here. And
I'm underwhelmed by the wide receivers. So I am sure it gets brought up here, Michael. It's like, do you want to go a running back when we already have your 2 starters? That would be building our bench.
And we all kind of know historically running backs are the ones that get injured the most. And that's, something you need to think about. And I like our running back options, particularly, actually all 4 of them here are not bad, especially the PPR league. Kareem Hunt also spies in. We talked a little bit about it in one of the division rounds. I really like Mike Davis as a bell cow. And Miles Sanders, I think had a pretty good second half once Jalen Hurts came in and put in the spot. So I think you can't go wrong with either of those picks, other than perhaps Miles Sanders has been injured in years past.
And Darrell Henderson's taking on the new role. They're talking about him being taking on the Cam Akers role. We'll see if that's actually the case with Akers out for the year. And I think that Ram offense will be better under Stafford. So 3 good choices. Honestly, it kind of makes me wonder, should we have waited on a running back last round? But it is what it is. By the way, I am going to want to grab a quarterback coming back. I feel like we can wait on wide receiver and tight end.
Yeah, I agree with that. I like the quarterback availability still. I'd be shocked if the guy behind us takes that next quarterback on the list. So I think Mike Davis is a safer bet. I think Miles Sanders has a little more upside. I would go with Sanders, given that we already have 2 strong running backs.
All right. So since I won the argument last time, you get to win the argument this time. So, but I do like the concept that when you're drafting, I'm not drafting to finish 4th, 5th, right? I want to win a championship. Brandon Ayuk, who would have been the guy I would have picked if we picked a wide receiver, is gone. And so is Kyle Pitts, the tight end who we would have gone if we would have. So I feel like, go ahead, put it in the comment section if you second guess our decision to pick up a backup running back over Pitts and Ayuk. And I feel like, we may deserve a little criticism there. Who knows? But I don't think we deserve criticism at quarterback. The guy I want is Lamar Jackson because he has the biggest upside.
That's right. And I think they missed out on their opportunity to get back to the playoffs and make a run. They need to run Lamar Jackson, put him a little bit more at risk this year. And I think we're going to see that. And so I think he's going to have a good year. A little bit scary to go with Dak Prescott after coming back from an injury.
All right. So we got a lot of picks. I'm not going to read all of them this time. But as we see, this is one of the problems. Okay. Because most people will go the route of filling their bench last. So this is one of the negatives of going to the bench early, because there wasn't a ton of running backs that went off the board in between this time. So we see like Mike Davis is still available. Look, it was a mistake, guys. The way that there's drafted, we shouldn't have picked a running back, but it is what it is. All right. Yes, I know we could have been criticized for the backup running back, but maybe not, Michael, because there's some still quality wide receivers on the board.
Yeah, we need to grab a wide receiver here. I think we can spy again and see that the next drafter has already taken a tight end. So even though we need a tight end, and there's some, it's a drop off, but I don't mind some of the options here. I think we pick a wide receiver and pick a tight end on the way back. I like Jerry Jeudy a lot. I'm Cortland Sutton coming back. I think we'll have some impact on him. I think he's the number 1, but we'll see. And I know you're a big fan of Robbie Anderson. We see that he had a lot of targets last year. What do you want to say about him?
Yeah. So in case you guys don't believe me, guess how many targets Robbie Anderson had. Guess. All right, it's higher than what you guessed. 136 targets. This is on the same team, Carolina, and and now he gets reunited with his old quarterback, Sam Darnold. So you think that those guys already have a rapport. So I think he's a solid number 3 wide receiver. And I think the problem with Jeudy and Sutton is I just don't know how healthy Sutton will be. Right. So pick your poison. If you pick Jeudy, maybe Sutton comes back strong. And Judy's the number 2 wide receiver. You pick Sutton. What if he doesn't come back strong? That I think it was an ACL injury. And you know what? So I think Robbie Anderson is the way to go here. So we will pick him. The next 2 picks in our draft is, okay, what did he do? He went with the 2 Denver wide receivers. So he went with Jeudy and Sutton, which is fine. So if I was going to go wide receiver, man, I wish I had a crystal ball to tell me whether Deshaun Watson was playing, because if so, Brandon Cooks, I think I would definitely pick here. But I can't count on that. So I think, like you said, how I would want to know how many tight ends.
Yeah, this is the time. This is the time, both for quarterback and for tight end, if you haven't picked a quarterback yet, to go and see what all of the other teams have done. Right.
Yeah.
So, right around this round of the draft, if you have a spot where you've kind of delayed longer than you maybe would have, it's a good time to go back and see what other teams have done. So if we look at tight ends that have been picked, there's only 6 off the board. Is that right?
Yeah, it looks like only 6. So 4 teams will be still interested, or put it the other way, 3 other teams besides us. Now, I have a little bit of concern because he had such great stats last year. Just look at them, especially in the second half, because Alex Smith is such a fan of dumping it down to his tight end. What are your thoughts?
I think there's a pretty big drop off after the first 2. I think Noah Fant, who maybe was the second most targets out of this group, is continuing to rise, has shown that he is a very athletic tight end. But I agree. I mean, the safer bet of the 2 is Logan Thomas. Even with the quarterback change, he's a strong athlete, has had success. That's who I'd go with here.
All right. All right. So again, we're going to have a long time for our picks. So let's see. Let's get back to Let's take a look at our roster. So we're just going to make these final 2 picks and wrap up the video. We're just doing 10 rounds. So as we look at our bench, Michael, I always think it's a good idea to try to go for a big upside, right? We already got the core of our team. What guy, maybe he'll be a bust, but he also has a high ceiling.
Last year, James Conner's on a new team. Not 100% sure what we're going to see there, but we've seen Arizona running backs have some success, and James Conner is a threat to make some catches out of the backfield. At the wide receiver spot, it's interesting that Jarvis Landry continues to, be kind of harmed by what's going on in Cleveland. But I just think of, he and Will Fuller are both special talents. Of the wide receivers here, the one I like most is Jarvis Landry.
Yeah, I would agree. Odell being back, it'll be interesting whether that will hurt him. His stats did go a little higher with Odell, but of these guys, I'm liking Landry. And man, if I was picking purely on who I thought will have the best year, I would probably say James Conner. But if I'm looking at upside, man, if Michael Carter wins the job in New York, he will be the best guy. So we'll go ahead and who would you like to pick at this time? And then we only got 2 coming back to us.
I think we got one on the backside there. I'd go with Landry here, and then maybe go with that running back that you mentioned on the backside because of the upside. I think 10th round isn't a bad spot to go with someone who's got some upside.
The other guy I was going to say for potential upside was just taking Trey Sermon for the 49ers. But I actually like Michael Carter Moore. I would have picked Carter. So you okay with doing that?
Let's do it.
All right. So as we look, we can see that our team has Lamar Jackson, Jonathan Taylor, James Robinson at running back, Devontae Adams, Terry McLaurin, Robbie Anderson at wide receiver, Logan Thomas at tight end.
Maybe, Eric, if you want to say a few words about defense and kickers.
Oh, yeah, we didn't draft a defense and a kicker, but if you do in your league, wait. In fact, my opinion is draft a kicker in the second to last round, and just pick a kicker on a high-scoring team, and draft a defense in the last round and look at the schedule in the first couple of weeks.
Unless you're in a league that doesn't really allow for a lot of pickups during the season, that's the right way to go.
And as Michael said, you just stream your defense, pick up and drop defenses. If you do that, you'll do as well as the team that picked the defense first and just started that defense every week. All right, everybody, thanks for joining us. Be sure to click on this other video over to the side, which also has the 12-team mock draft. And also there's a link to our division shows. Take care, everyone, and we'll see you next time.